Among plastic surgeons, Dr. Alfonso Barrera stands out as one of the most respected and distinguished in his field. He is known around the world as one of the foremost experts in cosmetic surgery. Dr. Barrera is a trusted professional known to his patients not only for his amazing expertise, but for the genuine concern and compassion he has for the well-being and safety of each individual.
I'm very flattered to have a very busy practice, and I think one thing that helps me a lot, my patients can truly sense that I really care about the final outcome. They know the procedures I do them only when I really feel I'm going to help. Of course, I've been in practice for many years, about 27 so far. And I have patients that come for repeat facelifts over the years, or repeat procedures, and that's flattering to me, because of course they know all the ins and outs of my practice and of my outcomes.
A clinical assistant professor at the Baylor College of Medicine, Dr. Barrera is certified by both the American Board of Plastic Surgery and the American Board of Otolaryngology. He is a past president of the Houston Society of Plastic Surgeons, has authored numerous scientific articles and plastic surgery textbooks, and has been in private practice since 1985.
People ask me how should they go about selecting a surgeon, and my opinion is word of mouth is best, and of course checking the doctor's credentials. You want to make sure the doctor is certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery. There is only one board recognized by the American Medical Association, that is the American Board of Plastic Surgery. That's the one you want to look for. And of course, word of mouth and some opinions of his peers. Make sure that his peers have a high opinion of him. And of course, ideally, if you know someone that had surgery by that person, that's good. I am flattered to see that many patients travel from very far, very distant places to Houston for me to do their aesthetic surgery. And even more flattered, there's a good few plastic surgeons that come to me for that as well.
But no accolade or credential can substitute for the praise of Dr. Barrera's patients. From first consultation to post-surgical follow-up, every client of Dr. Barrera experiences the warmth and personal care that has come to personify his practice.
As many women experience after having children, you no longer recognize what's left behind. You're in a shell that wasn't there previously. From head to toe, there was more than one place that I wasn't happy with. Unfortunately, I had developed a bone spur on my forehead to the point where I had to wear bangs that covered it, and it was very embarrassing. Dr. Barrera actually went through my hairline and chiseled this bone spur, and obviously today you can't even tell where that procedure was done. I also had some liposuction done underneath my chin that I was very, very happy with, and the other procedures as well have been an accurate reflection of what I asked him to do. With Dr. Barrera's staff, and I mean the entire staff, not just from him personally, but from the front desk, from the nurse, the woman that's taking you to your car, the phone call you get later that afternoon, there is no one else other than him and his staff that I could say I honestly am 100% confident with that they truly care for you personally, individually. There's truly no one like Dr. Barrera.
I'm in a high image business, and I reached a point where, and I'm very high energy, but when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see that. I felt I looked tired, so I just wanted to explore the things that I could do to not totally change my look, but just to freshen my look and have it match more, my energy level. And I talked about it a long time and thought about it a long time, and in fact ended up having my procedures earlier than I had even planned because I ended up so excited. I couldn't help it. But what got me in the door was his staff. I mean, I called to his office to make my appointment, and they answered all of my questions very thoroughly, very patiently, just very sweet. None of my questions were dumb. And they told me even, wait till you meet Dr. Barrera. You'll know. And they were so right. So when I did get to my appointment, once I sat down with him, just everything he exudes, his professionalism, his confidence in what he does, he really assured me and even made suggestions on things that I could do that I hadn't even thought about. And those have ended up being my favorite results from my procedures. But it was a combination of all of it. The staff, the office, I loved the location. I loved that he was going to perform it here. That was very important to me. I did not want to go to a hospital setting. And so There were a lot of things that made me ultimately decide, but it was the aftercare that really got me. I was able to come in anytime I wanted. They never got tired of me. They were so patient. I would come in, they would address my concerns and send me off again and just say, just call us back. They were there for me. Everybody, Dr. Barrera personally and his staff. It was a total wonderful experience. I'm extremely happy with my results, and I definitely got what I wanted out of it. I feel like my outsides match my insides now.
You know, I really feel blessed. I have a great staff. All the way from the nurses, receptionists, all of them are really, really friendly people. They really care about the outcome of the patients. I'm very, very, again, blessed to have such good people. My patients seem to communicate very well with them and relate well to them. Some 20 years ago, I started noticing I was losing my own hair, and of course I was very concerned about that, and I really searched for the best alternative, best option to correct that. And at about that time, about 20 years ago, refinements of technique began to occur. Some of those began in Brazil. So very soon I went on to Brazil and learned from this surgeon over there, a good friend of mine. And I have been able to apply this technique to not only males with male pattern baldness, also females that lose their hair, and also reconstructive applications such as kids with birth defects or burns or accidents. That has been very rewarding to me.
I always knew I was going to go bald because my dad was bald and hereditary. I mean, I looked just like him. I knew it was going to happen. And so around 25 or 30, I was receding hairlines and starting to thin out. My wife always cut my hair, and she would tell me that, hey, you're getting thin up here. So we tried a hair piece, and that looked good, but you always had to go every month, and they had to tighten it, and it was get loose. And you always wondering if people are looking at you and say, I wonder if that's a hair piece or something. The hairline is the major thing. People are always looking at the hairline, and you can't, no matter how good they get, they look like a hair piece. It came to the point where I was not satisfied with the hair piece, and I thought to myself, I'd rather be bald than wear this anymore and have the people staring at me. So I took it off and just decided I'd be bald. And then I found out about Dr. Barrera and how he was really a pioneer in the hairline, which was very much important to me, and how he's perfecting the plug look versus the natural look. And so we researched it, and we had a meeting with Dr. Barrera. It made me feel very at ease from point A to point B, explained to me exactly what was going to go on, how the procedure was going to go, and it made me feel very comfortable. And so I had the procedure, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, all this you see up here up front is all Dr. Barrera's work. I mean, I would be bald from here down if it wasn't for him. And what I'm pleased about is the hairline. Again, you can't fake that. I mean, people look at it and it's your hair, so it's beautiful, and I couldn't be happier. Between being bald and wearing a hairpiece and having it adjusted every month, or Dr. Barrera's work, I'm going to choose Dr. Barrera's work because it's fantastic. It's your hair, it's not going anywhere, and you don't have to worry about the stares and what people are thinking. It's yours forever.
I do all of my surgical procedures here in-house in my office surgical facility, which is an accredited facility. And I like it that way because the risk is much less for the patient than the risks associated to the hospital. We don't have sick people here, so we don't have those bacteria that normally can cause the antibiotic-resistant infections that you will see in hospitals. I like to make things very, very safe. All of the procedures that I do in plastic surgery and aesthetic plastic surgery, I do it without the need for general anesthesia. We eliminate the risk of general anesthesia. Sedation and local is much safer. The patients recover much faster. The patient doesn't feel absolutely anything. There's no general anesthesia, but there's no pain either. And at the end of the surgery, where we have some local anesthetic that are long-acting, that can allow the patient to go home without pain. Even after abdominoplasties, tummy tucks. Tummy tucks are painful procedures. Most patients' experience has been, of course, going somewhere else, that they're going to have pain and stay in the hospital overnight with nausea, vomiting, narcotics. My patients are able to go home the same day and without pain.
In my early 30s, I had 3 C-sections with 3 young children. I'd had to have those 3 surgeries. I'd had a couple more for just various things, and one was a lumpectomy. Everything was fine. Everything always tended to be fine. I was working out all the time, and I still had this area in my stomach that just wouldn't go away. And I was working out. My diet was good. It wasn't perfect, but I was doing a pretty good job. And I worked out a lot, like a crazy person. And I found out that I needed to have a hysterectomy. And whenever I was in talking to my OB, he said that he said, I'd have to go under, and my husband and I started talking, and he said, well, would you like to get anything done? You've complained that, about, of course, after 3 children, I was very unhappy with my chest, and then I had the problem with my stomach. And he said, well, why don't you talk to the doctor and see if you can do it at the same time, if you're already going to go under. My gynecologist had suggested Dr. Barrera, and I wasn't real comfortable with that. I wanted a female. He told me that he was going to give me one name and one name only, and it was Dr. Barrera. He said it didn't matter if it was a male or female, he would only give me the best. And he was right. I came and I met with Dr. Barrera. His entire staff is fantastic. I love them all. I mean, they're so wonderful, and he made me feel very confident. And the procedure was completely easy. I went through, of course, I had a hysterectomy at the same time, and that's really the only pain that I had. I mean, I was up in, a week. I was able to walk and exercise. One of the best things after the surgery was to see the results that I'd been working out all the time and had never been able to see, and it was immediate. Within a month, when everything had gone down, all of a sudden I had these muscles that had been there all along, and you couldn't have seen them without it. I have referred all of my friends and some of my family members. Everyone is just as happy. I honestly thought that plastic surgery and this sort of thing was really for other people, but now that I've done it, especially with Dr. Barrera, I'm a huge fan.
I've always taken care of myself, but nature does its deeds on you, and my neck in particular got real saggy, kind of a turkey neck syndrome, I guess. That's what people call it. And I mentioned this to a couple of my dermatologists. As a matter of fact, one of the dermatologists who told me you need to go to Dr. Barrera said, and he just did my wife's eyes in the last month or so, and they're wonderful. So, there were a number of doctors, I think, here at Memorial City that have chosen Dr. Barrera, and to me that's always a great recommendation. The best thing I can say, in all honesty, was that it's like anything you do in life, whatever it might be, if you plan for it and then it turns out maybe even better than you could have expected, well, that's what happened. Most people can't believe when they meet me that I'm 70 years old, which I personally attribute to eating right and exercise, but a large credit goes to Dr. Barrera.
I used to be 120 pounds heavier, and I got rid of the weight through diet and exercise and making changes in my life. And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see the me that I wanted to. I saw a number of doctors who did great work, but everybody looked the same. And I wanted to improve myself. I wanted to be a better me, a better version of me. I didn't want to change myself because essentially I like myself, I like who I am, and I just wanted to be happy and see the results of all the work I had done when I looked in the mirror. So Dr. Barrera's results looked most natural. It looked as if people that post-surgery, people were better versions of themselves, not an imitation of what the surgeon thought they should be. They were them better. Dr. Barrera took time with me. He asked me questions. He was interested in what I was trying to accomplish in my life and in my wellness, and he was supportive in that. And so I ended up, after checking out a number of different doctors, I ended up right back here. When I first took off the bandages, after I had the face work done first, and right away I went out. When I went out, I thought people were looking at me because they saw scars, and over time I realized that they were looking at me because I looked better. I still feel emotional when I realize how far I've come, and when I feel gratitude in having chosen a surgeon that was so skillful and so compassionate and so helpful in bringing the inner me out. Dr. Barrera did not change me into someone else. He made a better version of me.
Hair restoration, breast augmentation, eyes, nose, body contouring, reconstruction. No matter what you are looking for, you'll find it in Dr. Alfonso Barrera.
My staff and I are committed to get the best outcome every single time with the surgery. And the best music to our ears is when patients come back and tell us, "Thank you, Dr. Barrera. I really, really like what you did for me."